Famous. We're a comedy news podcast bringing you the latest and greatest stories from all around the world. And I have to speak quietly this week because there's a baboon in the room with me.
Oh dear, Chris.
It's very dangerous. He's making a... Baboons are the ones with the pink butts, right?
Yeah, baboons do have pink butts, but...
He's making obscene gestures towards me. I don't know what...
Well, see, that's if he was in the room with you, you would know that he had a pink butt. So I'm a little bit sceptical, Chris, about your baboon encounter.
Hey, Alison, are you familiar with the concept of, in improv, the concept of yes and, as opposed to what you just did, which is kind of a no fuck you approach to improv?
It's like, I'm going to get kicked out of this improv group for just being like, I don't think so.
It's like, so I'm at a train station. It's like, well, that's bull.
It's
no,
like, this
you're
doesn't
not.
look like a train station. Where's the platform?
I love this new character we've come up with,
like...
this person who's bad at improv named Alison.
Do you remember that show, Thank God You're Here?
Vaguely.
That was a great show. Anyway, it was basically an improv show, and the actor, like, walks into the scenario, and there's all these other actors that are, like, they're in on the scenario, but the comedian or actor who walks into the scenario has to, like, put it on. It's basically improv, right?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, that was fun.
It was a great show, right? Anyway, let's just do that, but with all actors who are complete ziffers and who are not going to give them the time of day in the improv.
Yes.
They're like,
I want
thank
just
God
like
you're here, Mum. It's like, I'm not your mum.
Just a series of like grumpy Adam Driver types
Yeah,
is what
exactly.
I'm thinking. People will be like, oh my God, thank God you're here, Mum. And it's just like,
I'm not your
Yeah.
mum.
I'm not your mum. I'm Adam Driver.
Who do you think I am?
I was in Star Wars and that other one that Chris forgets the name of.
I mean, the best thing that he did in Star Wars wasn't even in Star Wars. It was in, like, a comedy show where he did an undercover boss bit, where he pretended to be Kylo Ren undercover boss. And I'm not even a fan of Star Wars, but that was very funny.
I think
As a fan of undercover boss, I liked that bit.
As Alison, a devoted fan of Undercover Boss, I think the best thing that franchise of the Star Wars has given the world is that I think a lot of potentially dangerous, radicalized people are able to sort of outlet their dangerous thinking in the format of Kylo Ren fan fiction.
Sure.
And I think that saves a lot of lives, the existence of Kylo Ren fan fiction.
I
because
also
otherwise...
think the fact that the movies are a little bit crap gives those kind of somewhat, could be radicalized alt-right dudes on the internet, instead of talking about things that actually matter, they put all their energy into talking about bad Star Wars movies. And you know what?
Yes.
Good. Like, they can discourse about Star Wars, it doesn't matter to the real world.
Can you imagine how insufferable they would be if they were, like, really good Star Wars movies? It'd be like the Rick and Morty people. It would just be so difficult.
Yeah, like, the fact that the content is actually somewhat decent and somewhat like, hey, I would enjoy this if it wasn't for the fact the fans are very scary.
If it wasn't for the fact that everyone else who watches it sucks so bad.
Essentially. But, Chris, we didn't really get much into why there's a baboon in your room. We went well off that topic, that little segue opening bit we were doing.
That's our brand. So
It's very much our brand.
I'm sure you heard about this, but given that I'm on the ground, I'm in the shit.
You're in the zone. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of there's a number of baboons got free in Sydney. They got free from what some on the internet called a medical testing facility. It was actually a hospital.
Which had medical testing in it.
Yeah, they do that there.
Sure.
But it sounded very 28 Days Later.
Yes.
Was the real vibe, but like much more lovable and with less killing.
Yeah, no one died from the baboons that got loose.
I mean, obviously, we wouldn't know if they had Alison. They'd cover it up.
They would absolutely cover it up. But I think for me, like, there's just so much great to this baboon story, right? It's just there's a lot to break down.
Yes.
I have the story here from The Guardian about this, which I would like
please.
to jump into a little bit, because The Guardian's a reputable news source. And if you were in Australia on Twitter for about 2 hours, the entire of Australian Twitter was talking about these baboons.
Also, for reference, when we say a reputable news source, usually we're being sarcastic. In this context, The Guardian actually is a reputable news source. The Guardian, I feel like
I should make that clear, considering I believe at some points I have called The Sun and not Metro. What's the other one that I like to delve into? Some of those other shit rags from the UK.
The Something Observer, maybe? I'm not sure.
Know. Yeah, anyway. I've called a lot of things reputable news sources. Lad Bible, I think we've called a reputable news source.
I think every time Lad Bible comes up, you dunk on them so very hard.
I do. I dunk on them very hard. Just because they named themselves Lad Bible.
It is deeply objectionable.
Anyway.
Like, both of the parts of the name are bad.
Let's go into this baboon story, shall we? It says, Sydney baboon escape. Police confirm 3 animals recaptured at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. New South Wales Health Minister says the baboons were being transported to RPA. Wait a moment. So one could have a vasectomy.
Why do you need 3 baboons to give one a vasectomy?
Well, one baboon was having the vasectomy. The other 2 baboons were his wives. To morally support him. Did you not hear this part of the story?
I think you mentioned it to me, but I didn't hear it in detail. I just knew that there were baboons loose.
Yeah, there were baboons loose. And look, as someone who wasn't on the ground, my first thought wasn't my life. My first thought was, I wonder about these baboon vasectomies.
My first thought now is this baboon, is it like a Mormon thing? Like what?
Well, apparently the baboon had 6 wives in total, I believe, was what I read. But I'll go into that a little bit later. Let me just dive into this story for those of our listeners who weren't on Twitter for about 2 hours in Australia on Tuesday. 3 baboons being transported to a major Sydney hospital so one of them could have a vasectomy escaped from their truck on Tuesday afternoon, triggering sightings around the hospital, a police response, and widespread interest online.
I love that it's not widespread panic, it's widespread interest.
Callers to Sydney talkback radio station 2GB were first to report they'd seen primates running around the area of the Royal Prince Alfred Hospital, which is just outside the central business district adjacent to the University of Sydney. A caller told presenter Ben Fordham that he'd seen 3 baboons. Now, this caller's great. Mate, I'm dead set serious. I'm at RPA. I'm 6 floors up, and I was just having a gaze out of the car park. And then there were 3 baboons in the car park, he said. I'm dead set serious. They even had shiny red bottoms.
Fucking delightful.
Delightful indeed. I'm just having a gaze at the car park. Why not?
Well, I mean, it's an industrial marvel, Alice.
Yeah, it is. You just got to have a gaze at that. Another caller said her daughter and her daughter's colleagues had been chased by the animals.
Yes! Now it's the 28 days later shit. This is what I'm here for.
My daughter is an occupational therapist at RPA, and she said, yes, Mum, I've just helped wrangle the baboons, she said. Okay.
My occupation is now baboon wrangler.
Oh, God. The incident initially prompted mirth on social media, which increasingly gave way to concern for the welfare of the primates. New South Wales Police confirmed on Tuesday evening that they had recaptured 3 animals just over an hour after reports first emerged. This is the police spokesman now. Just after 5:30 p.m, officers from Inner West Police Area Command were called to a car park on Missenden Road and Lucas Street, Camperdown, after reports 3 baboons escaped whilst being transported. They are currently contained and police are working with experts to safely return them to their facility. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care about the police statement. It's very dry.
It's a police statement.
But then we get into some more detail about what's happening here, right? Why are these mammals, these baboons, at RPA Hospital? Well, it said the baboon due to undergo the operation, the vasectomy, was a 15-year-old male, and he was the leader of his troop. He was accompanied by 2 younger female baboons to keep him calm. He was having a vasectomy because there's no desire for him to continue to breed for the troop, and the other option was to move him from the troop. This way he can stay with his family through until old age.
His family of 6 younger women.
Yeah, exactly.
I love how baboons and people are the same, it turns out.
Yeah.
Is what I'm learning today.
Somewhat.
They're both shitty in a lot of the same ways.
Now, when the story first emerged, and there was like... It was starting to come out, right? And there were details were leaking through on Twitter. This one tweet I saw from a journalist called Rose Brennan, who I believe is from the Daily Telegraph. She wrote, "Have been told the baboons were not destined for medical research. The 15-year-old male was on his way to have a vasectomy. He was accompanied by his 2 wives, who had been brought along to support him." And that stirred a lot of people like, excuse me? Is this
Yes.
serious? Just like, excuse me, what?
The 2 wives will be in the operating room for moral support.
Essentially. And then there was the kind of... Well, this is an update. It's an update. The baboon and his wives are having a rest and snacking on fruit and vegetables. The vasectomy is scheduled for tomorrow, which is nice.
Uh-oh.
But I'm trying to find where the update was, which was saying that the baboon had significantly more wives than came along with him.
I don't like this favoritist sort of thing
No.
that he's got going on, where he only brings the 2 best ones.
The 2 best ones. The 2 hottest ones to keep him calm while he gets his vasectomy.
Because that's all that can keep this calm is attractive baboon women and their presence.
Right, exactly. Oh, baboon vasectomies. So that's what happened on Australian Twitter on Tuesday. Everyone was talking about baboon vasectomies, which we should add, there is the kind of like ethical dilemma here in that these baboons were from some kind of medical testing trials, which is
I thought
not
they were
ideal.
From the zoo.
No. I
Oh.
believe they were baboons from a facility that is for medical testing.
Well, that's not great.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But these baboons
I
weren't
hope they're
on...
just.
These
I hope
baboons
they're
were
just
not
testing
on their...
moisturizer.
Yeah, well, maybe. Just really good butt moisturizer is what...
Exactly.
that's all you're allowed to animal test on baboons is butt moisturizer.
Butt moisturizer.
Because I'm sure baboons would appreciate that. But everyone was a little bit concerned, right? Because they're like, well, these baboons are probably on their way to have some horrific medical test, but just a vasectomy. Standard procedure, I suppose.
Maybe they're testing if vasectomies work on baboons.
I'm sure they would know by now if vasectomies worked on baboons.
No, Alison, they've tried on every other animal, but they haven't tried on baboons yet. It's a long list, and
It's
they
a
go
long
reverse
list.
alphabetically.
Yeah, exactly.
Alpacas are next. I'm sorry, alpacas.
And then aardvarks, unfortunately, will be the very last animal to have vasectomies tested on them.
Well, I had the fun thing of when I was in school, because my surname is Bolson, I would either be at the very start or the very end of all alphabetically ordered things.
Sure.
Which meant I always had to present my very good speech
Either first or last. Yeah.
Both of which are highly objectionable.
Now, what I would do when I was a teacher, which was for 6 years of my life, instead of just picking the first or the going alphabetically or reverse alphabetically down the list, I would randomly go in the list. It's like, okay, I'm going to get this, every second name, and then back to the top every second name.
Okay, so would you do a consistent thing, or would you change it every time?
Sometimes I'd change it every time. Why not?
Okay, because I was going to say, then it's just a new system that the kids will have to learn, or in this case, the adults will have to learn.
The other thing that you do is you put all the names in a hat, and then everyone is like surprised when it's their turn.
Or what you do is you have a very small ping pong ball, and you just kind of like lob it into the room with your eyes shut, and whoever it hits has to go first.
Sure, and no one's allowed to touch it or catch it.
No.
That's cheating, and then you get zero marks if you touch it or catch it.
You can catch it with your teeth. That's
Right, if you catch it with your teeth, you don't have to do the presentation. You just pass immediately.
Well, as you should, honestly.
Absolutely. We're well off track now.
That demonstrates a much more useful skill to society than being able to speak English.
Absolutely. Being able to catch ping pong balls with your teeth. 100%.
Let me find a story. So this is one... This is a little one, but I think it was funny.
Okay.
This is from stuff.co.nz.
Great. Good source.
It's written by Libby Wilson. Job with heavy lifting, recommended for boys, potential applicant told.
Oh, dear.
A woman interested in a grocery store was told it was recommended for boys, sorry, because it involved heavy lifting.
Excuse me? I'm immediately offended by this.
No, but Alison, what you don't understand is that boys can lift so good.
Boys.
So
I do like that they said boys and not men, though.
I like that a lot, too.
Because the implication that I'm getting here is that it's child labour. It's like these little 5-year-old boys that are lifting a box. And as a full-grown woman, you're not allowed to lift that, but this boy can.
Well, no, but their options are they can't hire a full-grown woman because they only hire children, apparently.
Sure.
And girls, just not strong enough, unfortunately.
No, girls are too busy brushing their Barbie doll's hair to lift a box.
Not good enough at lifting the bricks and the fruit and the groceries.
And whatever else is in the grocery store. Maybe they need to hire one girl so that the boys don't have to unpack the icky tampons and pads from the box.
I think that would be wise.
Yeah, they don't want to. It's icky, you know. They might get some girl germs.
Otherwise, some of them will grow up to be gay, and that's not allowed.
It's very gross. It's very icky, the tampons and pads.
Hamilton's Pakiti Food Market is on the hunt for a full-time staff member for a job which includes everything from customer service to heavy lifting and filing. I don't know if you've ever met a teen boy. Customer service is not something I'd expect them to be good at.
No, they're not ideal at that.
It's maybe the last person I would hire for that role.
Yeah, I mean, I was walking down a street in Lane Cove in Sydney a couple of years ago, and I did get yelled some profane things by teen boys. And look, if I was a customer, I would not be pleased with that behaviour.
No.
I might ask to speak to the manager and then become a Karen
if you're
in that situation.
If you're carrying you're wandering around in the grocery store and a teen boy shouts at you, you're a poopy doo-doo pants.
Right.
Like, that's really not what you want.
It's not the ideal
situation.
shopping experience, I would say.
No. And then you call the manager because you've become a Karen. And God, I hope Karen doesn't listen to this. And
Karen is a lovely person with a lovely name, but unfortunately the name has become a thing, and that must suck for you.
It seems to. And then you have to say to the manager, this child called me a poopy doo-doo pants, can you please discipline them? And that's just not fun for anyone involved.
Yeah, it's not great.
So, Niall Rahi commented on the social media advertisement, stating what her relative qualifications were and asking about weekend work. However, the reply she got from Guzavak Sandhu was that it involved heavy weightlifting, so was recommended for boys, sorry.
Right off.
I love that he includes the sorry, which has a comma before
it's recommended for boys, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Do you know what? Like, in that moment, I would... You know the movie She's the Man? How, like, Amanda Bynes becomes a man out of spite for not being able to be on the soccer team. I would do that for this job out of spite.
Can I give you a hot take?
Yes.
That movie fucking sucks.
It's not great.
I didn't like it at all.
But the tampons in the nose scene for the nosebleed was innovative.
That was good.
It was innovative, as we would say.
That's what you want in a movie, is showing what orifice-based objects can be placed into other orifices.
Well, it's a lesson for everyone. It's like, okay,
exactly.
I never thought about putting a tampon up my nose for a nosebleed, but that makes sense. That tracks.
This is maybe the most tangent-heavy episode.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for everyone listening to this. But I would do that because not because I really desperately wanted to become a grocery store packer, but just out of spite.
Yeah, I get it.
Sheer spite.
Speaking to stuff, Sandhu at first said he couldn't remember his comment back to Rahi. After reviewing it, he took it down and apologised, saying, I'm going to do my best from now because I never want to discriminate.
It's kind of cute.
I know, right? We would consider applications from women happy to do heavy lifting, such as unloading crates of soft drink and vegetables, he said. Women can do that, but it's a bit hard. When we're boys, we're having some back problems. So, firstly, I love that he says women instead of girls.
There's women and boys. Usually there's like men and girls is kind of what people say. But I do like this women and boys dynamic.
Sandu is oddly progressive for a deeply discriminatory man, which I kind of love.
I was on board with him, and then he's just, he occasionally drops in something like, it's going to be hard for you women, and it's like, Sandu, you tried your best, but you still have a while to go, buddy.
Sandu said he'd replied to Rahi late at night after responding to dozens of interested people, and it was the wrong message.
Yes.
The shop had already hired a girl, so he had been thinking a boy would be good, he said. Which, like, diversity, I guess?
I mean,
kind of.
Sandu's trying his best. His best is very far from good enough, but he's
really trying to spin this.
Oh dear.
Rahi hadn't seen the reply until contacted by Stuff, but she said she didn't think men were the only ones who can lift heavy things.
No, well, that's true. It's a valid point. I don't think we even need to make that point in 2020. I feel like it should be a given.
I don't know, Stuff.nz seems to think that we need to make that point.
They sure do.
She's not unfamiliar with physical work, as her CV includes roles such as a stacker in a Taronga pack house and work with a traffic company. Nor is it the first time she's had people surprised she was female or who questioned her ability to do the work.
Jeez.
They shouldn't judge a person on their gender, she said. Give them a trial first, because women can do just as much as a male can. In fact, some can do more than what some males can.
Well, that's very true.
Discrimination according to sex is prohibited under the Human Rights Act with some specific exemptions.
Well, thank you. Great.
This is the first time in a while I've actually read the entire article.
Well, it's because it's a short one. But
it was.
I must say, when I worked at Boost Juice, which was 4 years of my life, I had a very... I don't think my ex-Boost Juice manager is going to listen to this. The owner of the store. He had quite some sexist ideas.
He was a real piece of shit.
Yeah, basically. I've told you much about some more serious situations.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. You heard us.
Yeah,
Fuck
Kevin.
You, Kevin.
Names redacted. Anyway, so we went to... Basically... We had the main store in the kiosk in the mall, and then we had a stock room out the back, which you had to, like, collect everything from. And there was always... We got deliveries of boxes of fruits, because it's a juice bar.
Yes.
And some of the boxes of fruits were, like, 10 kilos or 20 kilos each, right? And we had to, like, stack them onto the trolley and bring them out to the kiosk to prepare. Anyway... My boss always was like, oh, Alison, can you go get the fruit from the stock room? And I'm like, yeah, no worries, mate. And put it all on, like, lift all the boxes, put it onto the trolley, push the trolley filled with, like, 100 kilos, not 100 kilos, maybe it's 100 kilos worth of shit, to the front where the store is. And then when I get to the front, the boss is like, oh, Ali, I will lift those boxes for you. They're too heavy.
I always wondered what your workout regimen for your massive guns was, and now I've found out. So I need to work at Boost Juice. It was Boost Juice,
and then also scooping the really frozen yogurt is a good workout.
Ooh, yeah, shit, I'm going to try that.
But
I'm just going to, after this, I'm going to go buy some Froyo.
It was very funny to me, the fact that, like, I would consistently go on those stock runs and put all the stuff into the trolley out the back, lifting it off the shelf or the floor to do so. But when I come back to the front of the store, where the boss is, it's suddenly too heavy for me to touch those things, Chris, that I already lifted.
Well, that's because people can see now.
Yeah, people can see now, and they're like, oh, I can't have a girl lifting that stuff in front view of the customers.
That's disgusting.
That's
Women
awful.
aren't supposed to do that, Alison.
No, they're not. Like,
Women
I'm a big, strong boy man. I'm supposed to lift the boxes.
Women are supposed to do two things. Ballet and gymnastics.
Sure.
And they're the two physical activities that women are allowed to do. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
If you can find a job that involves one of those two, then congratulations.
But if you can do that job, if you can lift heavy things, you're allowed to do that, but only in the privacy of the stockroom. Not when there's customers about and they can see the disgrace of a girl lifting something.
And make sure to not do it in the privacy of your own home, because then you'll get too muscular and the boys don't like it when the girls are too muscular.
The boys will be very upset.
This is a real soapbox kind of episode.
It is. I'm sorry about this soapbox.
No, I'm loving it. This is very... I feel like this is good energy. Do you have a story for me, Alison?
Yeah, well, I've got a few more stories. I actually have quite a few stories this week that I found myself. Thank you, listeners. Chris, you're a good Catholic boy, like me.
Sure.
We're both good Catholics.
Yep, 100%.
100%. You know, Lent has started. I'm sure you do, because we're both good Catholics.
Definitely knew that.
Yeah, 100%. What are you giving up for Lent, Chris?
I am giving up crying.
Okay. That's a valid choice, I suppose.
My therapist was like, what are you going to give up for Lent this year? And I'm like, I'm going to give up crying.
And the therapist said, geez, Chris, that's very healthy. I'm so glad that you're repressing your emotions for Lent.
What are you giving up, Alison? See, it's not easy to come up with one, is it?
Alcohol.
You don't drink.
Exactly.
That doesn't count.
Exactly.
I do cry sometimes,
Jesus
so mine's actually work.
But that's the thing, right? Maybe my whole life has been Lent of giving up alcohol, so I don't need to do Lent anymore.
You were born and you thought, not anymore.
Yeah,
I'm finished.
I've been doing Lent my whole life. That's what a good Catholic gal I am, Chris.
I'm so proud of you.
But, you know, I'm reading from Reuters here, and the Pope has some suggestions on something we should give up for Lent. And he told the Catholics, he said, Pope to Catholics, for Lent, give up trolling. Ooh, spicy. Well, the Pope is very relevant.
Yeah, it's not going to work, but I'm interested nonetheless.
I'm interested. I want to know if Catholics are out there trolling right now, because the Pope said to give it up for Lent. If you do see any Catholics trolling on the internet, I suggest you do remind them that the Pope said to give up trolling for Lent.
You have no idea how much I want to create a parody Twitter account now of like a Catholic troll that whenever someone posts something is just like...
As a Catholic.
As a Catholic, have you considered letting the Lord into your life?
Just
have
always, any post unrelated, you just open it up with, as a Catholic.
Does anyone else love eating the flesh of our Lord?
As a Catholic, I really liked the new season of Breaking Bad. And it's just got nothing to do with...
Vote for your favourite segment of Mass. Mine is the Lord's Prayer.
Absolutely. I know the whole Lord's Prayer off by heart. I'm not going to say it on this podcast because...
I definitely know all of it.
It will trigger people. Anyway, Vatican City, Reuters. During Lent, Catholics are called to give up on something like sweets. On Wednesday, Pope Francis added a modern twist to the list of things to quit during the season and beyond, insulting people on social media.
It is so telling about what we've become as a society and me personally that my first response is to want to comment on that. Fuck you, Francis.
Yeah.
Go eat shit.
Eat shit, Franny, is what you...
You fucking cuck, Francis. Go eat shit.
Soy boy beta Catholic. The Pope made his appeal to tone things down while speaking to tens of thousands of people in St. Peter's Square for his general audience on Ash Wednesday, the start of the 40-day season that leads up to Easter. Lent, he said, is partially improvised. He said in his partially improvised remarks, "It's a time to give up useless words, gossip, rumours, tittle-tattle, and speak to God on a first-name basis," he said. We live
His name is
Jeremy.
Matilda.
Well, Jeremy Matilda. Or Matilda Jeremy. It's... You're not sure. Because it's two first names, you don't know which way it goes.
Exactly.
We live in an atmosphere polluted by too much verbal violence, too many offensive and harmful words, which are amplified by the internet, he said. Today, people insult each other as if they were saying, "Good day."
I mean, I do that with some of my friends, but I do that vocally as opposed to over the internet.
Yeah. This is a thing. It said, in recent years, Francis has been the butt of insults from ultra-conservative Catholic websites and mostly anonymous anti-Pope Twitter feeds.
I had a hunch that was where this was going. I had a hunch you had mean Instagram comments or something like
Poor
that.
Pope. Don't leave mean comments on the Pope's Instagram.
For Lent, could you please give up being mean to me just
Could you
for a
stop
month, please?
For Lent, God's saying you should stop bullying me. Oh dear.
Please, I'll give up being Pope for a month if you just stop being
If
mean
you
to
stop
me for a month.
cyberbullying me for a month.
It's so hard. I just can't.
Oh my gosh.
Fuck.
Yeah, it said Twitter has also become a platform for sometimes pitched verbal battles between his supporters and detractors.
Yeah, that tracks. It's become a pitched verbal battle. Well, I mean, it's not verbal, it's written, but, you know, whatever.
Well, whatever. Between supporters and detractors of a lot of things, I would say.
Twitter is a war zone. I think we can all agree with that.
I think we can agree quite readily. And here's the main war zone that's fought on Twitter. If the Pope wants to know what real bullying is, all he needs to do is say something bad about BTS, and then he will experience real bullying.
He's essentially going to be sticking his head over the trenches at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's like waving a "please shoot me" flag over the trench.
The rain of BTS machine gun fire that will come
the amount of
down upon him.
And every bullet is like a fan cam telling him to stand BTS.
Each TikTok is a mortar round. He's going to be
here's what I think
demolished.
the Pope should say if he wants to know real bullying. He should come out and say, "For Lent, give up K-pop." And then he will know what it feels like to be fan-cammed by millions of K-pop fans.
This is a completely unrelated segue. I just want to advertise this to the world. But I've recently been playing a Nintendo Switch video game called Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Okay.
And after doing some research, it seems that about 3 other people have played Tokyo Mirage Sessions. It's the least successful video game ever made, basically.
That's a shame.
It's really good, though. It's a weird Japanese RPG where you play as a K-pop artist, a J-pop artist, whose job also involves going into a nether realm to fight demons. And
that sounds very good.
The only way you can beat one of the bosses is by figuring out how to really express yourself through song, and that unlocks the battle.
Basically, what you're implying here is that if we have any K-pop fans listening to this, they should infiltrate the K-pop community with this video game so that more people play it, and play it with a lot of energy, so that you have people to talk to about this game.
You're mistaking what I'm doing as a comedy bit. I'm just genuinely just trying to advertise Tokyo Mirage Sessions because I really like it.
You should get a sponsorship deal from them.
Nintendo, reach out to us, Nintendo. Pay me to talk about Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I will
this specific game,
happily take your money.
Absolutely, 100%.
I will not say a word about Mario, that little bastard, but I will talk about Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
So you can talk about Luigi.
No, he's a piece of shit. I'm not going to talk about Luigi.
Okay,
I will only talk about the Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
My sister listens to this podcast, and you know she's a Luigi fan.
I played the first half hour of Luigi's Mansion 3. It was pretty good.
Okay, well...
Not as good as Tokyo Mirage Sessions,
I haven't played a video game that isn't The Sims in a long time.
That's fair.
And that's
anyway,
probably
please
because
continue.
The Sims is the only video game I have.
I'm sorry, this has just been a public service announcement that everyone should play Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
And also give up trolling for Lent, according to the Pope.
Yeah, also that.
I'm just going to read the last little bit here, because there's not much more to this article. Later on Wednesday, Francis was due to have ashes rubbed on his forehead at a traditional Ash Wednesday service that reminds Christians of mortality, that everyone will someday become dust.
I don't need to be reminded of that, thank you. I've been outside.
Thanks, Pope. Did you have Ash Wednesday in your school as a good Catholic boy?
Only when there was bushfires going on.
You didn't have normal Ash Wednesday where you get the ash rubbed on your head by the priest?
I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, I vaguely remember something like that. I've repressed a lot of those memories.
Because okay, here's the thing. When they do the Ash Wednesday ash, it's supposed to be like a little cross on your forehead. But when you're the priest and you've been doing a little cross on the forehead of every little shit in the primary school, you get a little bit lazy and you just end up drawing a slight smudge. And
Yes.
so never once in my life did I have a proper cross on my head on Ash Wednesday. It was always like a little bloody ash fingerprint. And
That's why you got to be at the start of the alphabet.
you have to be
Alison.
at the start of the line so that you can get a proper cross on your head on Ash Wednesday. And so what I'm thinking, Chris, is because I never had the proper Ash Wednesday cross, maybe that's why I'm no longer a religious, because God didn't touch my heart through the cross on my forehead.
I think it's probably good that I didn't become a priest because it would turn so quickly into me drawing obscene symbols on people's faces. It would take maybe 5 crosses before it becomes like a boob, and then it becomes a dick, and then it
Okay.
becomes much more convoluted, and it becomes like the Scientology logo or something
Well,
like
I
that.
would draw the Scientology logo immediately. I'm just going to
Yeah,
put that
100%.
out there. Like, it's just something I would do.
That's
Which-
your brand, though.
Shout out to my friend, by the way, who was recently in LA and did take a selfie outside the Church of Scientology for me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He listens to this podcast too, so
Woo.
there you go. There's not much more to this story, but if you're a Catholic, a good Catholic like Chris and I, then you should give up trolling for Lent and don't be bullying the Pope on Twitter or
Maybe
Instagram.
spend all that time you were going to spend trolling playing Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
Well, exactly. You could be doing that.
I've got a story from the Otago Daily Times.
Oh, great. Got to get back
taking
to
it-
classics. Taking it
Yeah.
right back, yeah.
So this is by Jacob McSweeney and Milton Innovation to Amphibious Boat. A Milton Boat Company believes it has created a world first with its amphibious boat that can retract a front wheel when it enters the water.
I feel like this already exists.
I feel like it probably does too. But what I'm going to pitch, I'm going to describe the image to you,
Okay.
Alison, because it looks fucking wild. Basically, imagine, you know how like a plane has like landing gear where the wheels
Yeah.
come down? It looks like that, but a small boat.
Okay.
It just looks profoundly silly, but it also looks kind of like a monster truck.
I do like that, though, the monster
Yeah.
truck aesthetic.
Maclay Boats owner Steve Maclay said that whilst amphibious boats were not new, one with electric-powered wheels was something no one he knew had seen yet. Which to me implies that he didn't even bother Googling it. He just kind of asked around.
So, mate, have you seen a boat with wheels? And someone's like, no, not really.
So you haven't got the noise of an engine, which they are quite noisy, within the boat. This has a bow door where the wheel totally retracts inside. That has never been done in the world before, as far as we know.
As far as we know.
So when it's in the water, it just looks like a normal boat.
I mean, sure.
The boat sells for $295,000, and the company has sold 2. Mr. Maclay keeps one for himself to test and check for improvements, so these are big sellers.
Oh, yeah.
The boat was not made for driving, Mr. Maclay said, but it would suit short distances. The idea is guys with the batches up north and that sort of thing can simply go out the batch, maybe a short bit of road and out to the sea beach, straight out to the sea, no trailer required.
Well, sure, it sounds good to me.
I think he's thinking too small.
Yeah.
I think that this needs to be like highway usable. I want to get like a number plate on it. I want to get nitrous in this boat. Like I want it
Why
to
not
be
just slap some wings on the boat too? And then you've got
Right?
like all environments boat, like a duck boat. You can go
Would
on
wings
land,
be-
in the water, in the air.
Do you want wings or do you want a propeller on top like a helicopter? Because if it's got wings, it has to be able to go fast, which I'm fully in support of to take off.
Well, I do want a speedy boat, but also I like maybe we can have both.
Okay, I think that's very fun actually.
I do think so.
You use the helicopter to get just up real high, and then you use the wings to glide down into the ocean.
Wow, Chris, that's very innovative, and I believe that you should bring that idea to Milton, this designer, and be like, I have a good idea for you, which I believe has never been done anywhere in the world. I asked 3 people and they said they hadn't seen it before.
What if we took your insane car boat that you've already made and we also added 2 other transportations? We can also add maybe a skateboard element to it.
Oh, yeah. So you can do a kickflip on your car boat plane.
I was thinking maybe like a skateboard sidecar, that just like follows along, that can then transition into a wakeboard if need be.
It's like an attachment. It's an attachment for like the ocean and the land. If you're in the sky, you probably shouldn't use the skateboard attachment because you might fall down and die.
It is just dangling by a single rope.
Yeah. It might not be the ideal environment. The sky might not be the ideal environment for that.
At the same time, though, maybe it's the best environment for it.
Oh, I personally don't want to fall down from the sky and die. But
it's definitely not covered by insurance, but we haven't trialed it yet.
But if you are doing that, if you do want to use the skateboard attachment in the air, I do suggest you have a parachute. Just for safety, Like you'd wear your little knee pads or your elbow pads. You got to wear that.
The last time I went on a plane, because the older I get, the more concerned I get about my mortality.
Sure.
The last time I went on a plane, I was just like, wow, this is actually pretty fucking terrifying. It
is quite.
I was like, if this goes wrong, there's not a lot I can do, huh?
See, I think that too, but then I also think how sick it would be to live stream from a plane crash.
Well, I mean, I Googled how to survive a plane crash.
Sure.
And apparently it's achievable. Like 6 people ever have done it. This is in no way going to be funny, but I think it's genuinely very interesting, so I am going to talk about it.
Tell me how to survive a plane crash.
Yeah, I think this is the energy.
While I'm live streaming, though, because I will be live streaming this whole event.
Well, that would probably be good, because then you'd have another object to help break your fall.
Yeah, the phone will
so
break my fall.
First things first, water. Don't land on it. You'd think water would be good, but it's very bad.
Well, everything that I learned in video games is that if you fall from a high place, you should aim for the water.
I've also learnt that. But it turns out water has this thing called surface tension, and if you hit it at terminal velocity, you explode.
Well, I did watch Mythbusters, and they did throw a crash test dummy into the water, and it smashed to pieces.
Yeah, so
which wasn't ideal.
That will happen to your body. So, okay, let me be clear. Almost all of these options will involve some sort of grievous injury to you. But you might not die.
Which is the ideal situation.
They said, so trees can be good, but if there's lots of pointy branches, can also be very bad.
Right, so you have to be like, you're waiting to like fall down and you're kind of like scanning for like the most plush-looking tree.
Yeah, you want to aim for the soft trees that are unlikely to impale you.
Right.
One that they suggested, if you can see one, is a hut with a tin roof. That's very good, because that'll break your fall really well. You'll go straight through the roof, but it'll take a lot of the impact.
Sure, a tin roof, hey? Well,
yeah, if you're flying near a mountain, snow does a good job. If you just sort of like hit the snow...
Oh, but it might be quite chilly.
It might be, but it'll also... That might be good, because it'll slow your blood flow, which you are going to need. And you know what else,
Chris? It will numb the pain from every limb being broken.
It will numb the considerable pain you will be experiencing. Apparently there was a woman once who was in that situation where she crashed in the snow and basically like crawled 100 kilometers to safety and is alive and well today.
I did see a story about someone who survived a skydiving accident and they basically had no parachute. And I mean, it's quite a tragic story, because basically what happened is, you know how there's 2 people?
Yes.
The instructor died.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But she had extreme injuries but survived. And it's like, imagine falling from 30,000 feet or whatever in the sky and being alive afterwards.
Imagine the experience of that 30 seconds being like, well, I'm pretty fucked.
I'm probably going to be dead.
Well, I mean, if you've got a dead instructor on your back, that's maybe good, because you can use them as some cushioning. Also, if the plane breaks up in the air and you can find a piece of the fuselage, wrap yourself in that. That will also help break your fall. This has been
see, what I'm imagining here, and I know this isn't how science works, but I'm imagining like a cartoon and people like swimming through the air to like find some soft things to wrap themselves in.
Fully 100%. That's actually what you should do.
That's do. I'll be swimming through the sky.
Just angle your body towards the stuff that you can land on.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll be grabbing, like, you know, as I swim through the sky, grabbing, like, sleeping bags and all sorts of, like, comfortable things, and then, like, throwing them down before I hit the ground, you know, just throwing them.
Don't do that. Hold them, Alison.
No, I'm throwing them so they land on top of the tree to create a cushioning.
Oh, that actually might work.
Right,
that
exactly.
might be good. The sleeping bag might take the brunt of the impaly branches, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. It'll cushion it, if I've learned anything from science in my life.
So this has been the educational segment of our podcast.
Can I finish with one more story?
Please do.
I do have a few more stories, but look, there's two stories here. Do we want America or UK, Chris?
UK.
UK? Jumping right into this one then. This is some celebrity news.
Ooh.
And this is from news.com.au.
Cool.
Have you ever watched the reality show The Only Way is Essex?
I've watched clips from it on YouTube.
Right. So you're aware of a British reality star called Gemma Collins, then?
Not intimately,
Not
no.
by name, no. Well, she's a British reality star from The Only Way is Essex, which I don't know how to explain to people who haven't seen that show or who have never seen clips of that show.
It's Jersey Shore, but English.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's Jersey Shore, but English. Anyway, this is about a reality TV star. Some celebrity news. It says, reality star Gemma Collins confesses she believes in lizard people.
Oh.
Well, does she believe in they exist, or does she believe in them in that she has faith in them to do their job? Maybe both.
Okay.
A star of a popular British reality series has admitted she subscribes to the bizarre conspiracy theory that human-lizard hybrids are roaming among humans. Gemma Collins, 39, said on her BBC podcast on Wednesday that she believes the reptilian creatures are walking the streets and are retreating to tunnels under the city where their faces and bodies may retract into being lizards.
Wait, okay. Firstly, because this is a science podcast now.
Yes.
I'm going to debunk this. Surely, if they were reptilian, they're cold-blooded, they would want to sleep in the sun, not in tunnels underground. Have you ever met a lizard?
Yeah, I met a lot of lizards in my time, and they do like to sit there and watch you while you shower.
We've come full circle.
We've come full circle. But they also like sitting in the sun.
They do. Well, I figured the shower is probably hot air, so that's why they like
and
that.
And maybe the sun shines into the
And also because you're in it, you're like flaunting your like hot sensuality.
Yeah, my
so,
body.
Like,
maybe they get confused between my pale body and the reflection of the sun on my pale body with the sun.
Beautiful.
But also, I don't believe that lizards can retract their heads. I think she's thinking of turtles.
That does sound a lot more like turtles, which are still reptiles, though, so maybe they're turtle people.
Maybe turtle people.
Maybe, you know how you can't take a shell off a turtle because it's like its body?
Right.
Maybe their clothes are their shell.
Well, that tracks. Collins, who first appeared on The Only Way is Essex in 2011, said she had been in a number of UK reality shows, including Celebrity Big Brother, Dancing on Ice, blah, 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 blah. She said on Wednesday, she knows it's weird, but she believes that lizard people live among us. My theory is, and this is a little bit weird, I believe, as you know, that we don't just live as humans on this earth. I believe in lizards. And again, if any of you out there are a lizard, email me.
Yes. Hey, just like slide into my DMs, all lizards out there.
Actually, I think I would like to say the same goes for our listeners. If any of you are a lizard, please send me a DM. I would like to know.
If you want to email us, you can email us at redmanuscast.com. Just put in the subject line, just put lizard facts.
And I am a lizard.
I am a lizard, and we'll get that.
Yeah, we'll see that. We might not be ready for this, but I believe there are lizards living among us. I mean, right at this point, she's not talking about lizard humanoids. She's talking just about straight up lizards,
yeah,
right?
that's like a gecko.
There are lizards among us, I would like to point out.
A Komodo dragon.
There are Komodo dragons in the country that I'm living.
Oh, cool.
Indeed, because Komodo is an island of Indonesia. Did you know?
Oh, fun. I did not. You learn new things every day.
Well, there you go. She continues. do these humans that appear to be humans and look like us and act like us go into their tunnels where their human faces, their human bodies, do they retract back into being lizards when they go into the tunnels?
I like the idea that they become small lizards. Like the kind that...
like little skinks, right?
Yeah, like a little goanna kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like
a goanna is quite big, Chris.
I think if Beyonce was going to turn into a lizard, she'd be a frilled neck lizard. I just get that vibe from her.
I think so. I think that would be very cool. Who would be a blue tongue lizard?
Ooh, Katy Perry.
Katy Perry. She shows her tongue sometimes.
Yeah. I get real blue tongue lizard. Actually, no, wait. Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus. You know why she shows her tongue so much?
Because she's so proud that it's not blue. She
right, exactly. She's proving to you that she's not a lizard with a blue tongue by pointing out her pink tongue so she can be like, guys, I'm not a blue tongue lizard. I have a pink tongue like you fellow humans do.
And she gets a lot of emails from Beyonce@lizard.com that's just being like, you're actually making it worse. You need to be more subtle about this, Miley. You're going to blow our cover.
You're going to blow our cover. Like, Beyonce already had to email so many celebrities about making the Illuminati triangle because they were ruining it. They were making it too obvious. All the conspiracy theorists on YouTube had seen the signs.
What do you think Beyonce's YouTube looks like?
It's a conspiracy theory lizard person YouTube.
I bet it's fucked. Like,
there's some really good quotes that I want to get into before we finish.
All right, fine.
So I'm just going to continue reading, and then we can talk about Beyonce's YouTube. It says, there's been so many reports that there are different kinds of species living in the UK and around the world. I want to meet you. I want to touch you. I want to smell you. I want to know more. I'm not scared about this.
So she definitely wants to fuck a lizard, huh?
She wants them to slide into her DMs so she can smell and touch them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing leads to another, you know? Like,
I mean, whatever.
Okay, now, if we're being honest, if I had the option, were I a single man, to sleep with a lizard-human hybrid, and no bad things would happen to me as an outcome of this...
Let's not think too deep onto this.
Everything once, Alison.
Oh, you'll soon be writing to that How to Do It column.
Yes.
About look, I've had the opportunity to sleep with a lizard-human hybrid, but I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to recruit me into the Illuminati.
My wife and I are thinking about bringing a lizard into our marriage. What are your thoughts on this?
By the way, it's a humanoid lizard, not a non-humanoid lizard. It's not creepy.
It's not just a gecko. We wouldn't do that.
It's not weird. This isn't the craziest thing, though. The best quote is still to come. She said, earlier in the podcast, Collins discussed a network of tunnels believed to exist under Buckingham Palace in Greater England.
Pretty sure it's called the subway.
Yeah, well...
The tube.
That's what some normies, people
That's what the Daily Mail wants you to think.
That's what the Daily Mail wants you to think. Collins wondered, what if the Queen is transported around in the tunnels and there are entries and exits all around the country? She suggested this may be why she's never sighted the royal family. Regarding
why
the tunnels...
she personally has never
Yes, Chris. Regarding the tunnels, please...
Holy shit.
There is someone out there, can you get food and drink and a glass of champagne in the tunnels? She said...
Alison, I've never seen Jay-Z. I'm pretty sure Jay-Z's invisible.
Yeah, I would have to say so. But I've never seen the Prime Minister of this country in person. So I believe that he must be transported around Australia on a series of tunnels.
I saw Cate Blanchett once. That's the only way I know she's real, is just because I saw her one time for
I talked to
a
Katy
second.
Perry on the phone, but when I talked to Katy Perry on the phone, I didn't see her face.
No, you didn't see her, though, so that could be like an AI. You have no way of knowing.
Well, for all I know, she could have been in her lizard form when I was chatting to her on the phone.
Just, scales out, laying in bed on the phone.
That's why she wanted to do phone interviews.
Oh, this is a TV show we should make.
When she gets home, what she does, the first thing, she takes off her clothes, and then get out of your bra, whatever, get comfortable. She just unzips her human flesh and, drops it onto the floor so she can relax.
Yeah, we'll get the Cats technology to work on this movie.
The human flesh suits are quite uncomfortable for lizard people.
If Katy Perry doesn't want the role, we'll just get Zooey Deschanel to do it. It'll be fine.
Absolutely.
She won't be recognizable because she'll be under heavy lizard makeup. But
right.
like, it's important that you know that underneath she does look like Katy Perry.
Absolutely, that's the key. It's the key. Jesus Christ.
She must be looking for work. I haven't seen Zooey Deschanel in anything in a while.
Well, yeah, that's true. I haven't seen. I do get confused sometimes, though.
Zoe, if you're listening to this, reach out to us. We want to make this Katy Perry lizard.
Zoe, if you would
TV
like
show.
to be in our podcast as a guest star, please let me know.
Or if you'd like to be in our TV show as the lead star playing Katy Perry the lizard, let us know.
Yeah, well, that too. You can be in it as a lead star as Katy Perry.
Is there any more to this?
No.
Well, then.
There was already a lot to that, and I feel like that's a good place to leave it.
That's fair. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode that went to so many places.
I don't even know why we got so off track every single time this episode.
I think it's because we got all of our normal talking out of the way before we started.
We did.
So we had to, we just had to make so much shit up.
Yeah.
I feel like it was positive. Let us know in the comments if you like it. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button. Ding the bell for notifications.
Smash that like button. Ding that bell for notifications.
You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Red Menace Cast, on Facebook at The Red Menace Podcast. You can find our merchandise at tpublic.com. My name's Christopher Bolson.
And I'm Alison Hoare.
Thank you for listening to this wonderful program. We're going to win all the Oscars. Good luck and good night. Lizards unite.
Farewell.